I'm chatting with my old friend Jeremy Wade. Jeremy, we go back, well actually it's over 50 years now.
I'm afraid to say it is.
It's horrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
We met through XKs originally.
Indeed we did. Yeah.
I mean, we both accept there's rather more to life than just XKs.
Yes.
And it's been a part of our lives, and it's brought us together as friends, and our wives, our families, etc. And so it's a catalyst. But they have played a big part in our lives, and they are very special. We still love them. You must have owned loads of XKs. I mean, you deal in XKs, or as you put it, you recycle XKs.
In a way, it is more like a recycling business. Yes, I think I've owned over 350 now.
Wow.
And one or two repeat offenders. I was seeing Chris Keith Lucas earlier on. We were amused to recall a day at Oulton Park about 10, 15 years ago when we were parked in the paddock and THS 120 was there, and we managed to assemble 7 previous owners, and we took a photograph of them, which I think may even have been in the Gazette. And there we all were, united by this car, which I'd originally bought in Scotland off Jamie Gibbon, who'd raced it. It was a disreputable car, but it was the fastest XK at that time in Scotland. And that was in a way the start of my wheeling and dealing. I think that would be about 1975 I first bought it, and then Chris has now had it for I think about 20 years, so I must be overdue to own it again.
How many times have you owned it?
Well, I've had it 9 times.
That's extraordinary.
Yes.
That in itself must be a record of any car, I would have thought.
Yeah, well,
extraordinary. But doesn't that make the point that they are recycled, that they're enjoyed again and again, variety of owners?
Exactly.
It doesn't happen with a modern car.
It doesn't happen with a modern car. I've often said XK should be available on the NHS, really. But joking apart, we've been talking about the sustainability and everything else. If only people could be persuaded to own things for a longer period of time and look after those things, rather than feeling that they've got to change everything every 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's the thing that's really wasteful in the planet. Yes. And I'm afraid, don't get me started on electric cars or even the idea. And so I don't think it's not something we've touched on today, but I mean, dare I say it, there have been a few XKs converted to electric. But why?
I think we'll change the subject before I say anything I might regret.
Yes.
But I mean, I've mowed my XKs, and I have lucky enough to have 4 simply because I bought them so long ago when they were worth so very little. And I've had them over 50 years now.
Yeah.
And you've had your 140 drop-in, must be for a long time now, which was your father's car.
It was my father's car new, and then it disappeared off the radar in the early 70s. And I'd always thought it might be living in retirement somewhere in the south of France, and it turned out to be in Italy. And of course, Paul Abadjian found it and then sold it back to me, and we discovered it was my father's car. So that was absolute fluke.
And splendid, I'm sure. Absolutely wonderful. Fond memories of your father.
Yeah.
My father had a 120, a white 120 with red upholstery. I just about remember it. I was aged 4 or 5. Yeah. I wish I could find that, but we have no photographs, sadly, so we don't know the registration.
You don't know the number?
No. Oh, well, at least my 120 Roadster that I bought in 1973 was originally white with red upholstery, so that's rather fun.
Yeah.
Well, they are very special cars, aren't they? What do you think makes them so special?
Well, I think they're a car with character. They're, whether you be a 120 man or a 150 man, it doesn't really matter. The cars have they're all beautiful. I don't think there's a duff one amongst them. But to me, the purity of the 120 is absolutely great. The 140, it falls in the middle, and in many ways, for some years, was the if you like, the odd one out. But I think people have come round to really rating the 140.
Yes.
It encapsulates the beauty of a 120. And if you want the walnut dash and the drop-in and the fixed head, you've got all that. But you've got the minimalist look with a 140 Roadster. And the steering, it has to be said, is better. And then if you're a bigger chap, the 150 is a larger car and accommodates a bigger person. So, there's an XK for every shape and size.
Absolutely.
And age.
Yes.
And even us old farts are still capable of getting in and out of these things, just about. Unless they've got bucket seats, of course.
That can make it more tricky.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we hope we're going to persuade younger people that they can enjoy XKs, that they will revere them in the same way we have.
Yeah.
We need to preach to them and convert them because they are fabulous cars.
I think
they're very
you're
usable.
right. I think what we need to do is to, I think James Mitchell summed it up when he said that we must be generous with our cars, share them with other people, and make sure that the younger generation actually do get the chance. I mean, my 140 will be going to my son George, and I hope he'll share it with his friends, and then we'll bring some more people into the fold.
Indeed.
It's in a way, product placement is quite important, and getting the cars seen in the right venues. You know, you could park a 120 Roadster, in my opinion, in a street full of supercars, and more people will be looking at the 120 Roadster, or an E-Type for that matter. You know, so I think there's still things intrinsically of great beauty.
I so agree, and I used to often say that they are also far more reliable than the supposed exotica, dare I say it, the Astons, Maseratis and Ferraris. And I said that to somebody once who owned Maseratis and Ferraris, and I thought, oh my God, I've put my foot in it there, and he came up to me and said, you're absolutely right.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's no doubt about that. I mean, there's no great rocket science with XKs. They are fundamentally well engineered and quite easy to maintain. And actually, the industry that we've got now is ensuring that these cars will go on and on and on. I mean, when we first got interested in the early 70s, you know, even getting tyres for them was,
Yes.
you'd take virtually
for a batch
any
to come to the country.
any
Yes.
16-inch tyre you could get, you would put on the car.
Sure.
Now you've got almost an unlimited choice.
Yes.
So, in many ways, we're in a better place than we ever were with XKs.
Which is a great way to leave our discussion. Thank you, Jem.
A pleasure.
It's been terrific, great friendship, great cars.
Yeah. And
Wonderful.
we'll both keep taking the tablets. Okay.